Okay, so when was the last time you really thought about your breakfast? Probably never, right? But what if I told you that hidden inside something as simple as a piece of crispy bacon is this massive philosophical puzzle, one that actually challenges the very foundation of science and everything we think we know?
I mean, think about it. You're making bacon. You just know it's going to get crispy. Every single time you've made it, it's been crispy. You're not just hoping, you're not guessing, you feel certain. But that certainty, what if it's just a really, really convincing illusion?
All right, let's dig into that feeling. Where does that absolute certainty actually come from? Well, it's built on this incredibly powerful mental tool that all of us use every single day, most of the time without even noticing we're doing it.
And that tool has a name. It's called inductive reasoning. It's basically the engine of how we learn. We see things happen over and over again. We spot a pattern. And from those little specific observations, we build a big general rule for how we think the world works. It's really this simple. You see one piece of crispy bacon, then another, and your brain, it just kind of connects the dots and makes the leap. It says, okay, got it. Therefore, all bacon is crispy. It feels totally logical, and honestly, it's the foundation for almost everything we believe.
But then, along comes this 18th century philosopher, David Hume, and he looks at this process, this perfectly natural, intuitive way we think, and he asks this one devastatingly simple question that just pulls the rug out from under everything.
So Hume's brilliant insight was this. There's actually no logical connection between the past and the future. Just because something has happened a million times in a row doesn't mean it is logically forced to happen the next time. It only creates a really powerful expectation in our minds. That's it.
And if you want a perfect example of how mind-bending this is, think about swans. For literally thousands of years, every European had only ever seen white swans. It wasn't just an opinion, it was an unshakable fact, confirmed again and again and again. The inductive rule was simple. All swans are white.
And then, European explorers got to Australia. And what did they find? Black swans. A single observation, just one, completely shattered a universal rule that was built on millennia of data. And that is Hume's puzzle in action.
Now look, this is way more than just a neat story about birds. This is a huge problem for science itself. Because if our most basic method for building knowledge is fundamentally flawed, what can we ever really be sure about? And this is where it gets a little scary. Think about our scientific laws, like gravity. They're all just huge inductive conclusions, right? We've seen a billion things fall down, so we make a law that things fall down. But does that logically guarantee the next apple will fall? Hume would say, nope.
Now, you might be thinking, come on, the laws of nature are consistent. But wait, how do we know that? Well, we believe the future will be like the past, because in our past experience, it always has been. See the problem? We're using induction to prove induction. It's a completely circular argument that proves nothing.
So are we just stuck? Is all knowledge built on nothing but faith? Well, not exactly. Fast forward to the 20th century, and another philosopher, Karl Popper, came up with a brilliant way out of this mess. He agreed with Hume, you can't prove a theory true. But he said, maybe that's not the goal of science at all.
Popper's big idea is called falsifiability. And what he said was a theory is only scientific if it makes a bold claim that can be tested and potentially proven false. The whole point of science shouldn't be to prove yourself right. It should be to try your absolute hardest to prove yourself wrong.
And here is the logical beauty of this solution. You could spend your whole life finding millions of white swans, and you're still no closer to proving that all swans are white. You can't. It's impossible. But you only need to find one black swan to prove with 100% logical certainty that the theory is false. The real power isn't in confirming, it's in destroying.
So this completely flips the mission of science on its head. The goal is no longer to just pile up evidence that you're right. No, a good scientist is a hunter. They are actively searching for that one piece of evidence, that one black swan that proves their own favorite theory is wrong. And that's how we make progress, by getting rid of the bad ideas.
Okay, so after that whole philosophical deep dive, where does this leave us with our breakfast? What does this all mean for what we can actually know? Let's bring it back down to earth. So, should you still expect your bacon to be crispy tomorrow morning? Yes, of course. We have to live our lives using induction. It works amazingly well. The point isn't to become a skeptic about everything, but to just add a little dose of intellectual humility to what we believe. So, At the end of the day, a scientific fact isn't some absolute carved-in-stone truth. It's just our current best explanation. It's the theory that has survived every single attempt to kill it, so far. Our knowledge is strong not because it's certain, but because it's always open to being challenged.
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. This isn't just about bacon or science. It's about how we see the world. So ask yourself, what are the unbreakable rules in your own life? The things you're absolutely certain about? And which one of them might just be waiting for its very own black swan to come along?